Hello everyone, and welcome to this fascinating new video where we will explore together the incredible myths and legends surrounding the Chupacabra. This intriguing legend originated in Puerto Rico, located in the beautiful Caribbean, around the year 1975. That a creature named the Chupacabra would have appeared and terrified most Puerto Ricans. This creature would attack many animals at night and drain them completely of its blood. There will be many testimonies that report having found groups of animals, sometimes going up to more than 20 dead animals, found in the same place in a very restricted area. At first, most people will think that this is just a rumor or a simple legend. However, the phenomenon will continue to intensify, and for many years the creature will terrify Puerto Ricans. At some point, the phenomenon is going to get so big. Even the police will get involved. The authorities will carry out numerous raids to try to locate and kill this beast. Unfortunately, after several months of investigation, they will find nothing. While the Chupacabra continues to make people talk about him, some witnesses even report that they would begin to attack the different inhabitants of the village and that the only victims would no longer be animals. The authorities, who were initially very skeptical, will take the matter much more seriously. They are going to establish different groups of investigations to try to gather as many testimonies as possible. And by grouping all these testimonies together, they are going to try to describe the beast. All the person who then say review this cryptic monkey describes it. They there, a very dark skin and long claws. Your eyes would be blood red and globular, and the people who describe it scream say it is deafening and terrifying. In addition, thanks to this investigation, they will succeed in recovering recordings of people who claim to have filmed the famous Chupacabra. However, with the evolution of technology, it has become much easier to rig a video. Most of what is on the internet is probably fake. Whatever has happened over the years, the Chupacabra continues to be talked about and has been seen in various places around the world, including in various parts of Chile, Mexico, and the United States. And for some scientists who have looked into the subject, there may be different hypotheses. Michel Tranier, the director of the Zoothèque des Jardins et des Plantes, explains that we discover many species every year that are still unknown, and that it is very likely that it is a species that has not been identified at present. For other researchers, it could be downright a genetic modification experiment gone wrong and created this bloodthirsty monster. In addition, at that time there were not as many measures as there are now. It could very well have escaped from the laboratory where it was created. And for other researchers a little more rational, they explain that the probability that the existence of such a species, such as the Chupacabra, and that it is not yet known or recorded, is extremely low. In addition, they explain that if there is one Chupacabra, there would necessarily be several so that it can reproduce and persist over time. At the moment, we have no concrete evidence, and it will surely be a long time before a person can give a final conclusion to this story. This legend begins in 1764 in the Gévaudan region. It was then that the locals began to tell that there is a huge scary beast that roams the forest and feeds on blood and fresh flesh. For more than 3 years, this beast will make many attacks and many victims. There will be more than 250 attacks. For more than 120 dead, men, women, and children who will be found dead in strange circumstances. And at that time, the beast will terrify the whole region, so much so that the legend will spread throughout Europe. Witnesses describe it as a specimen of extreme ferocity, endowed with an immense mouth and a bushy tail. Several people will then decide to get together to form batches. The purpose of these beats will be to try to capture the animal or simply kill it. At that time, you should know that this will be the largest number of beatings we would ever have carried out for a single case. And yet, none of these beats will give results to conclude. They will kill big wolves. The attacks will cease only for a few days, but they will return incessantly, which would mean that no beating would have made it possible to cut the dead. However, during these battles, some will say they met him. They will describe her as an evil creature, such as a werewolf. Others, a little more rational, describe the creature as a species of wolf that we did not yet know about at the time. Many specialists have passed on the subject, and not this theory that it could simply be a huge wolf, as there were many wild wolves in the area. And for other specialists, this is not possible because most species of wolves are generally shy and are more inclined to run away from man than to go towards him. Furthermore, they put forward the fact that for a wolf, it would be impossible to kill up to 100 different people. While most witnesses all agree that they saw the exact same death, other witnesses will speak of a slightly more incredible kind, which would be a mix between a bear, a wolf, and a dog. But some specialists will then state a very special theory. It could be a person who would have fun disguising himself as a wolf so that we cannot recognize him and so that he can commit murders without being worried. For most people who have seen her, this theory doesn't hold up. The beast was best moving quickly on 4 legs, and with its corpulence it is impossible for it to be attributed to that of a man. There are some witnesses who even say they have seen him make jumps of several meters. Moreover, it would be impossible for a human being to cut up the victims like this beast did. There is even a testimony that tells of having seen this beast devour a whole horse, which is totally impossible for a human being. Several experienced hunters will then be recruited in order to kill this beast, but despite their best efforts, they will never really be able to put an end to this mystery. 3 years after the appearance of this strange creature, it disappeared just as mysteriously as it appeared. No one has ever found his corpse, and no one has ever really been able to say what this beast was. Today, it no longer makes victims, and we may never have the truth about this strange creature that is the Beast of Gévaudan. Point Nemo is one of the furthest points from any existing civilization. We would have thought here that in 1997 a very strange phenomenon would have happened. The hydrophones of the American Oceans Monitoring Organization recorded the famous bloop. One of the most mysterious sounds recorded in the depths of the ocean to date, the glow is a sound of incredible power. Its amplitude would have allowed it to be heard within a radius of 5,000 kilometers, and for specialists, it would surely be the most powerful sound we'd ever recorded so far. Many experts and scientists will then look at the recording and will try to determine what the blues could be. Everyone who has heard this recording agrees that the sound does not fit into any known category. None of the sounds that have been recorded since human activity exists would match this famous blues. This signal could therefore come from something biological, mechanical, or even supernatural. The first hypothesis put forward by scientists would be that it is a huge mammal. Because some species of whales can produce a very high frequency sound which is very similar to the blue recording, nevertheless the intensity of the source of the blue would mean that the animal is about 100 times larger than any species of whale we know of at present. And if that means the animal is substantially larger than any species of whale we know of, it is unlikely that we have ever seen it, and that this is the only record we have of this animal. The second hypothesis will then lean towards nuclear submarines. But again, it is impossible to say that these instruments are capable of making such a sound, but again, it is impossible to affirm that it is indeed a nuclear submarine. Because the entirety of the underwater activity is known, and there was no submarine present at that time in the nitrogen. In addition, according to experts, it is very unlikely that a submarine managed to make a sound of such magnitude. Last hypothesis will then look at underwater earthquakes, but geologists will not discover any seismic fault in the area. But then where can this mysterious sound come from captured at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean? Currently, there is still no rational explanation. Some will look at very old marine legends and people only tell once. He had giant creatures such as kraken or other monsters. They roamed our oceans, and there may still be some today. Disturbing coincidence. Some would even claim that Point Nemo would correspond exactly to the location of a legendary sprawling monster more than 100 meters high, imagined by the writer Howard Lovecraft, a great master of fantasy literature. Whatever happened since 1997, no one will have managed to identify the nature of this very strange sound, and no one will have also managed to record a new sound of this potential cryptid. Of this phenomenon even stranger. And that's the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to tell me in the comments, and if you have other topics that you want me to cover in my next videos. If you are interested in this kind of topic, you can also check out my other videos. You can like, share and subscribe. It was Kike on Fire.